Your hands won't stop shaking. It's 5:47 a.m., June 6, 1944. You're gripping a pair of Zeiss binoculars so hard your knuckles have gone white. The metal feels ice-cold even though it's June. Even though the sun should be warm. You're Oberleutnant Klaus Richter, 32 years old, professional soldier of the 352nd Artillery Regiment. You survived Stalingrad. You've seen hell frozen over. But nothing prepared you for what you're seeing right now. Because the English Channel isn't there anymore. Where gray water should stretch to the horizon, there's only steel. Ships. Thousands of them. So many they've turned the ocean into a floating city. An armada so massive your brain refuses to process it. This is the moment you realize Germany has already lost the war. You just don't know it yet. The weather is terrible. Storm winds. Rough seas. Your meteorological office has confidently predicted no invasion is possible for at least a week. Field Marshal Rommel, the Desert Fox himself, has gone home to Germany. It's his wife's birthday. He's planning to give her shoes, then deliver intelligence reports to Hitler. The 15th Army, Germany's strongest force, is waiting 200 kilometers away at Pas-de-Calais. Everyone knows that's where the invasion will come. It's the shortest route. It's logical. It's where every staff officer in Berlin has put red pins on their maps. Normandy? Normandy is quiet. A backwater. A place for troops who need rest. You're one of those troops. Your artillery battery has 6 checkmate guns positioned inland from the beaches. From your concrete bunker on the bluffs, you have a commanding view of the sea. It's a good position. From professional. But as you'll learn in exactly 7 minutes, good positions don't matter when the enemy brings the entire industrial might of 3 nations to your doorstep. You see it first as a smudge on the horizon. A dark line where sea meets sky. The smudge starts multiplying, growing, taking shape. Your heart hammers against your ribs like it's trying to escape. You raise your binoculars. The lenses fog from your breath. You wipe them frantically and look again. Ships. Not a fleet. Not a squadron. An ocean of ships. You try to count them. Training kicks in automatically. Categorize. Assess. Report. Battleships, Texas class, Arkansas class. Massive floating fortresses with 14-inch guns that can throw a car-sized shell 20 miles. Cruisers. Dozens circling like wolves. Destroyers. Too many to count, weaving between larger vessels in patterns that speak of rehearsal, planning, precision. And then the others. Landing craft. Thousands of landing craft, packed so densely they look like iron filings drawn to a magnet. The official number, nearly 7,000 vessels. 7,000 ships. 8 different nations. The largest amphibious invasion force in human history. Germany built a wall of concrete to stop the Allies. The Allies responded by building a bridge of steel. You grab the field telephone with hands slick with sweat. This is Richter at Observation Post 4. I have visual contact with the channel. There are ships. The voice sounds tired, dismissive. We have reports of a few ships, Oberleutnant. Possible reconnaissance. Stand by. No. Your voice cracks. You don't understand. It's not a few ships. There are thousands. The entire sea is covered. From horizon to horizon. This is the invasion. The pause. Long enough for your heart to beat 5 times. Oberleutnant, the sea conditions are not suitable. The sea conditions don't matter. I am looking at it with my own eyes. For God's sake, look at the sea. You slam the phone down. Your hands shake worse now. Private Franz is at the observation slit, his face drained of color. Herr Oberleutnant, he whispers. What do we do? And that's when you realize, there's nothing you can do. Because while you've been staring at ships, the high command has been sleeping. Rommel is in Germany. The Panzer Reserves can't move without Hitler's personal authorization, and Hitler went to bed at 3 a.m. after watching a film. His staff has strict orders: don't wake the Führer. The 15th Army is 200 kilometers away, still waiting for an invasion at Calais that will never come. This wasn't an accident. It was Operation Fortitude, the most successful deception campaign in history. The Allies convinced German intelligence that General Patton was leading a massive army group in England, preparing to strike at Calais. It was all fake. Inflatable tanks, dummy landing craft, radio traffic from units that didn't exist. And Germany bought every word. So here you are, the 352nd Infantry Division. Eastern Front veterans, teenage conscripts, older reservists. Outnumbered, outgunned, completely, devastatingly alone. And the ocean is still coming. At 5:50 a.m., you feel it before you hear it. A change in air pressure. Like the world is inhaling. Then the horizon flickers. Flashes of light from the big ships. Orange blooms appearing in sequence. You count 1, 2, 3 seconds. The sound arrives like the fist of God. Wham, 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 wham. The shells aren't falling. They're screaming. A freight train sound that gets inside your skull and vibrates your teeth. The first impacts are scattered, range-finding shots. One hits water. One lands in fields behind you. The third destroys a gun emplacement 200 meters away. You don't see what happens to the crew. Just flash, then black cloud, then nothing. Then the real bombardment begins. USS Texas. USS Arkansas. HMS Glasgow. Battleships and cruisers open up with everything. The sound doesn't stop. It becomes continuous rolling thunder that makes your concrete bunker shake like a ship in a storm. Dust rains from the ceiling. Your ears are bleeding. You're trying to shout orders but can't even hear your own voice. A direct hit on a nearby ammunition dump creates a fireball 100 feet high. You feel the heat on your face from a kilometer away. Debris falls like black rain, chunks of concrete, twisted metal, things you don't want to identify. Private Franz is crying. He's 19. 3 months ago he worked in his father's bakery in Munich. Blood runs between his fingers as he presses his hands over his ears. You put your hand on his shoulder. You want to tell him it will be okay. But you can't lie. Then the bombardment shifts inland. For one blessed moment, there's relative quiet. That's when you see the first wave hit the shore. Through smoke and mist, the Higgins boats lower their ramps. Men pour into waist-deep water. American soldiers. Helmets, rifles held high, life preservers like white collars around their necks. The first ones go down immediately. Your machine gun crews have been waiting for this exact moment. The MG-42s open up, 1,200 rounds per minute, so fast the individual shots blend into one continuous roar. The water turns red. Men falling, crawling, drowning in 3 feet of water with 50 pounds of equipment dragging them under. Some make it to beach obstacles, the steel hedgehogs, wooden stakes topped with mines. They crouch there, pinned down, trying to become smaller. More boats come, and more, and more. The beach becomes crowded with men, vehicles, equipment. Some tanks make it ashore. Others sink. You watch one disappear completely, just bubbles marking where it was. But they keep coming. That's what breaks something inside you. Not the violence. Not the blood. The realization that no matter how many fall, there are always more. The landing craft are a conveyor belt of human beings, and behind them are thousands more ships. You finally get permission to fire. Your gun crews have been ready for an hour. The massive barrels elevate slowly, targeting the fleet. Fire! The ground shakes. You track the shells through your binoculars. They're the hit. A direct hit on an American destroyer. The USS Corey. Flash of orange, mushroom of black smoke. The ship lists hard, crippled, already sinking. Your men cheer. For exactly 30 seconds, you feel like you're winning. Then reality reasserts itself. For every ship you damage, 100 sail passed untouched. Your shells are pinpricks against the armada. And now the fleet is turning its attention to you. The American battleships have located your battery. Suddenly the air fills with a sound like cloth tearing. Then the world ends. A 14-inch shell hits 30 meters from your position. The explosion is so loud you go deaf. Not ringing out deaf. Total silence except for a high-pitched whine. Another hits closer. The concrete bunker, 5 feet thick, reinforced with steel, cracks. A spiderweb pattern spreads across the ceiling. Dust and fragments rain down. You're shouting at your men to keep firing but can't hear yourself. Franz is loading shells with mechanical precision, tears streaming down his face, snot running into his mouth. Wham! Another hit. The lights go out. Emergency lighting kicks in. Red bulbs that make everything look like hell. One of your guns has been silenced. You don't know if it's damaged or if the crew is dead. Probably both. Through the observation slit, now cracked, you watch the systematic destruction of the Atlantic Wall. Gun emplacements exploding. Bunkers collapsing. Entire sections of the defensive line vanishing in clouds of pulverized concrete. And still, the Americans advance. You see something new. Strange tanks with flails on the front, spinning chains that detonate mines. Engineers with pole charges blowing paths through obstacles. Bulldozer tanks pushing aside steel hedgehogs like toys. These aren't improvised solutions. This is engineered warfare. They've built specific vehicles to defeat your specific defenses. While you've been hoping your concrete and steel would hold, they've been testing everything in training. They know exactly how to break you. That's when the truth hits you like a physical blow. You're not watching a battle. You're watching an industrial process. The Allies aren't trying to outfight you. They're trying to erase you. You stop seeing individual soldiers. You start seeing what's behind them. The factories. Through your binoculars, you look past the beach, past the ships, and in your mind's eye you see the assembly lines of Detroit. The factories in Pittsburgh churning out steel at rates Germany can't match. The oil fields of Texas. The shipyards of Oakland. The aircraft plants of Seattle. On D-Day, the Luftwaffe flew maybe 300 sorties over all of France. The Allies flew over 14,000. For every one German plane in the sky, there were 40 Allied ones. That's not a battle. That's mathematics. You think about the Tiger tanks, the fearsome panzers Allied crews dread. Technologically superior. Better armor. Better guns. In a one-on-one fight, a Tiger destroys a Sherman every time. But that's not how wars are won. For every Tiger tank Germany produces, America stamps out 30 Shermans. They're not planning to win through quality. They're planning to win by burying you under a mountain of steel. In 1944, the United States alone produced 29,000 tanks. Germany's peak production never topped 2,000. The numbers play through your head like a death sentence. Landing craft on D-Day, 4,000. Vehicles landed in first 24 hours, 20,000. Troops landed first day, 156,000. Ships in the Armada, 7,000. And what does Germany have? A few thousand tired men in concrete bunkers. No air support. No naval support. No reserves that can move freely because Allied fighter bombers own the sky. You're not soldiers anymore. You're math problems. And the Allies have brought calculators. By 10 a.m., your position is untenable. 3 of your 6 guns are silent. The bunker has taken 6 direct hits. Walls are cracking. Water leaks through the ceiling. You're not sure if it's from burst pipes or blood from the level above. Telephone lines are dead. Your radio operator was killed an hour ago when shrapnel came through the observation slit and took off the top of his skull. Franz is loading the gun alone now. The rest of the crew is dead or wounded too badly to help. He's mechanical, like a wind-up toy. Boot, fire, boot, fire. His hands are burned from handling hot shells. The flesh is peeling off in strips. You know you should order a retreat. But retreat to where? Through the cracked observation slit, you watch the impossible. The Americans who were pinned on the beach 3 hours ago are now climbing the bluffs. The defensive positions that were supposed to stop them, machine gun nests, mortar pits, interconnected bunkers, are falling one by one. You see American destroyers doing something suicidal and brave. They're steering directly toward shore. Some are so close they're scraping their hulls on sandbars. They're using naval guns at nearly point-blank range, blasting German positions from angles the bunkers weren't designed to defend against. It's brilliant. It's crazy. It's working. A Sherman tank crests the bluff right in front of your position. The morning sun backlights it, turning it into a dark silhouette. For a second it looks like a medieval knight. It rotates its turret toward you. You have exactly enough time to think. This is how it ends. The shell hits your observation bunker dead center. You wake to silence. Not actual silence. Your ears are destroyed. You'll never hear properly again. But compared to the last 6 hours, the ringing in your head sounds like peace. You're lying on your back. The ceiling is gone. You can see blue sky, impossibly blue, like the war is a lie. Franz is sitting against the wall. He's staring at his hands. They're not there anymore. Just bandaged stumps that end at the wrists. He's in shock, not even screaming. Just looking at where his hands used to be with mild confusion. The gun, your beautiful, precise Czech howitzer, is twisted modern art. The barrel bent at 45 degrees. The breech gone, blown clean off. You try to stand. Your leg doesn't work right. You look down and see a piece of metal the size of a dinner plate embedded in your thigh. You can't feel it. You should probably be dead. Someone pulls you. Hands under your armpits, dragging you backward. A German sergeant you don't recognize. He's from another unit. Everyone is mixed together now. Can you walk? He shouts. Where are we going? Anywhere but here. You look back at the beach one last time. It's not a beach anymore. It's a supply depot. Tanks rolling off landing craft in neat lines. Trucks being unloaded. Engineers building roads with bulldozers. There are so many men and vehicles the sand has disappeared under a carpet of equipment. The invasion hasn't just succeeded. It's already become routine. They've turned your apocalypse into a logistics operation. You don't remember the retreat clearly. Just fragments. Crawling through hedgerows while American fighter bombers strafe the roads. P-47 Thunderbolts come in low, wings painted with black and white invasion stripes, hunting anything that moves. A column of Hitler Youth soldiers, boys really 14 and 15, marching toward the front with determination in their eyes. You want to tell them to run. But you can't speak. And they wouldn't listen. A half-track loaded with wounded hits a mine. The explosion flips it like a toy. Men thrown into the air, some still strapped to stretchers. They land in pieces. A French woman standing in her doorway, watching Germans retreat. She's not crying. Not celebrating. Just watching. Like you're already ghosts. By nightfall on June 6th, the 352nd Infantry Division has lost 1,200 men. Nearly 20% of its fighting force. Gone in a single day. The division that replaces you, the 12th SS Panzer Division, will take 80% casualties in the first month. The teenagers who marched past you with such confidence will be dead before July. The war will continue for 2 more months. The fighting in the hedgerows will be brutal, personal, devastating. Every field a battlefield. Every stone wall a fortress. But the outcome is already decided. It was decided the moment that Armada appeared on the horizon. The moment you realized you weren't fighting soldiers, you were fighting factories. You end up in a field hospital, then a POW camp. The Americans process you efficiently. Serial number. They give you food, real food, from tins, more than you've seen in a year. They give you medical treatment, a cot in a tent, and then they ignore you. Because you're not important anymore. You're just one of thousands of prisoners. One more German officer who bet on the wrong side and lost everything. In the camp, you meet other survivors. Wehrmacht, SS, Luftwaffe, Kriegsmarine. All mixed together. The uniforms don't matter. The ranks don't matter. You're all just beaten men trying to understand how it happened so fast. An SS officer, a true believer, still talks about secret weapons. V-2 rockets. Jet fighters. A counteroffensive that will throw the Allies back into the sea. You don't argue. You just remember the number, 7,000 ships. A Luftwaffe pilot tells you he saw the Allied air armada. There were so many planes I couldn't see the ground, he says. Just wings and engines and exhaust trails. A panzer commander describes encountering Shermans. We destroyed 5, he says with grim pride. Then 10 more appeared. We destroyed those. Then 20 more came. We ran out of ammunition. They didn't run out of tanks. That's when you understand, Germany didn't lose because of cowardice or incompetence. Germany lost because it picked a fight with the global industrial complex. All the courage in the world doesn't matter when the enemy can replace every loss 5 times over. All the tactical brilliance doesn't matter when the enemy controls the sky and sea. All the defensive fortifications don't matter when the enemy brings enough explosives to turn your concrete walls into gravel. One night in the POW camp, you lie awake and finally allow yourself to feel it. You think about the young officer you were that morning. Confident in your training, position, ability to make a difference. You remember checking your guns, positioning your men, feeling prepared. You were a fool. But so was everyone. From the private in his machine gun nest to the field marshals in Berlin. Everyone believed the Atlantic Wall would hold. Everyone believed the Luftwaffe would contest the skies. Everyone believed German steel and German willpower would be enough. You all believed the lie because the alternative was too terrible, that Germany was fighting a war it could never win. Not after America entered. Not after the Soviet Union refused to fall. Not after the British decided they would rather burn their island than surrender. You were fighting the tide. You were commanding artillery against an ocean. And no matter how well you aimed, how bravely your men fought, how perfect your tactics, the ocean was always going to win. The war was already over. The rest was just mathematics playing out in blood and fire. You survived the war. Barely. You're repatriated to Germany in late 1945. The country you returned to isn't the one you left. Cities are rubble. The population hollow-eyed and starving. The Reich that promised 1,000 years lasted 12. You never returned to Normandy. Some veterans do, American, British, German, going back to walk the beaches, place flowers, find closure. You don't need to go back. You see it every time you close your eyes. Franz with no hands. The USS Corey listing. The first Sherman cresting the bluff, backlit by the rising sun. The Armada, stretching from horizon to horizon, turning the ocean to steel. And you see yourself, young, confident, professional, thinking you could stop it. Thinking your concrete bunkers and artillery zones would be enough. Thinking discipline and training and fighting spirit could overcome the simple, brutal mathematics of industrial war. You live quietly after the war. You marry a widow with 2 children. You work as an engineer, bridges and roads instead of bunkers and gun emplacements. You don't talk about the war unless someone asks, and then only the basics. You never tell anyone about that moment. That crystalline moment when you saw the Armada and knew, really knew, that everything you'd been told was a lie and the war was already lost. Some truths are too heavy to share. But on June 6th every year, you wake up at 5:47 a.m. You don't set an alarm. Your body just knows. You lie in bed and listen to your heartbeat and remember what it felt like to watch the ocean turn to steel. So when people ask what D-Day was like, you give them the simple answer. Ships, bombardment, noise, chaos. You use words like overwhelming and impressive. But you never tell them the truth. You never explain what it felt like to watch your world end in real time. To see everything you believed turn to ash. To understand, with perfect clarity, that you were on the wrong side of history and mathematics and the entire Industrial Revolution. You never tell them about the moment you stopped being a soldier and became a witness. When you stopped thinking about tactics and started thinking about factories. Steel mills. Oil refineries. Assembly lines that could spit out Liberty ships faster than U-boats could sink them. D-Day wasn't really about the beach or the bunkers or the men who fought there. It was about production capacity, transportation logistics, resource allocation, industrial economics. It was about Henry Ford's assembly lines and Pittsburgh steel and Texas crude oil defeating willpower and ideology and military tradition. It was about the modern world, loud, mechanical, impersonal, unstoppable, grinding the old world into dust. And you were there to watch it happen. You were there at 5:47 a.m. on June 6, 1944, when the ocean turned to steel and the future destroyed the past and 7,000 ships declared that the age of industrial warfare had truly begun. You survived. But you never stopped seeing those ships. They're always there, on the horizon of your mind, blocking out the sky, turning the water black with their shadows. The morning the sea turned to steel. The morning you realized courage meant nothing against assembly lines. The morning modern war revealed its true face. And that face was a factory. Klaus Richter survived D-Day and the war. He spent 3 years in a POW camp before returning to Germany. He worked as a civil engineer, married, raised a family, and died peacefully in 1987 at age 75. He gave only one interview about D-Day, in 1984, to a German television station. When asked what he remembered most clearly about June 6, 1944, he replied, "The ships. Always the ships. I still see them when I close my eyes. We had no chance. We knew it the moment we saw them. But we fought anyway, because that's what soldiers do. Even when they know it's hopeless. Even when they know the war is already over." The interviewer asked if he was proud of his service. Richter was silent for almost a minute. "I'm proud I fought honorably. I'm proud of the men I served with. But proud of the war? Proud of what we were fighting for?" That pride died on June 6, 1944, at 5:47 in the morning, when I looked through my binoculars and saw what real power looked like. And what did it look like? Like 7,000 ships. Like the future. Like the end of everything I believed in. D-Day by the numbers. 156,000 Allied troops landed on June 6. 7,000 ships involved in the operation. 11,000 plus aircraft flew in support. 10,000 plus Allied casualties on D-Day. 4,000 to 9,000 German casualties on D-Day. The 352nd Infantry Division suffered 1,200 casualties on June 6 alone, 20% of its strength. By August 1944, the division was completely destroyed and disbanded. Germany lost 400,000 men in the Battle of Normandy. The Allied powers replaced their losses. Germany couldn't. That's how wars are won. Not with heroes. With math. Subscribe for more untold World War II stories. The moments that changed everything, seen through the eyes of the people who were actually there. Next week, the Russian soldier who held a building alone for 58 days in Stalingrad.